One day, an ascetic in the forest caught a young woman who had been running away and forced her down. Later, the ascetic, in an odd manner, touched her body and said that what he could not do in his last life, he would certainly do in this life. The ascetic had been meditating in the forest for a long time, in a place where no one passed. His face was always calm and solemn, but his eyes held a restless, unfulfilled longing. Now, however, the ascetic's patience broke. One evening, the rustling of leaves broke his meditation and he heard, "Is someone there? Help me, please. My foot is injured." The ascetic opened his eyes and saw a young woman approaching, her clothes dirty, her face full of fatigue. At the sight of the woman, the ascetic's eyes brightened, as if a partridge had fallen into a blind man's hands. The woman came limping toward him. Quickly, the ascetic rose, guided her, and sat her down beneath a tree, then asked, "What happened to you? How did you get hurt?" In a pained voice, the woman explained that she had been passing through the forest when her foot caught on a thorn, and now she could not walk. The ascetic smiled faintly at her injured foot, went toward his hut, and returned with some herbs. Because he lived in the forest, he knew a great deal about medicinal plants. He applied an ointment to the woman's wound and, in a strange way, began to rub and massage her foot. The woman did not understand what was happening, but she felt immediate relief and looked at the ascetic with grateful eyes. Her gaze was full of trust. She, however, was unaware of the ascetic's other side. Night had fallen. The ascetic said, "It's not right for you to go anywhere in the forest at night. Stay here." Hesitantly, the woman agreed. A flower of desire seemed to bloom in the ascetic's heart. The woman sat down on the grass beneath a banyan tree. The ascetic lit a small fire nearby, and the two sat silently. The ascetic kept glancing at the woman, as if wanting to say something, but unable to. Soon, both fell asleep. During the night, the ascetic rose and again looked at the woman with an eager gaze. He placed his hand on the injured foot and continued to rub it. Then, moving his hand slightly above her salwar, he stroked her leg. The ascetic found a strange peace in touching the woman's foot, but the tired, vulnerable woman did not notice. Love was visible in the ascetic's eyes, and at the same time he felt sorrow, fearing the chance might slip away. Such an opportunity had been rare for him. Seeing that the woman was still there, life seemed to return to him. The ascetic asked, "Your foot still isn't fully healed. Where will you go in this condition?" The woman said, "I was looking for a way out of this forest." When the ascetic heard this, a peculiar fear of losing her flickered across his face. He said, "Until your foot heals, I won't let you go anywhere," the ascetic said. The young woman was surprised to hear this, but didn't take it seriously. She thought maybe he said it because of her injured foot. Unaware of the ascetic's true nature, the innocent girl agreed to stay. Evening came. The ascetic offered her some food, but the ascetic had secretly mixed something in it. As soon as the woman ate, she fell asleep, and the ascetic's hidden desires awakened. He gently touched her body in a strange way, as if he was feeling a strange peace. Because of the effect of the herbs, the unconscious woman was completely unaware of what was happening. She noticed nothing. Then the ascetic softly touched her forehead and whispered, "Just 1 or 2 more nights, and then I'll have everything." Saying this, he placed her head on his lap, running his fingers through her hair. With an eager gaze, he looked at her face. The young woman, lost in deep sleep, remained unaware of everything. In the morning, both the ascetic and the woman woke up. The ascetic went to the forest to collect some herbs, and the young woman went to the nearby pond to bathe. While she was bathing, the ascetic returned to the tree and, not finding her, began to search everywhere. A fear of losing her flashed in his eyes. Searching, he reached the pond and saw her bathing. Seeing her, his heart filled with relief and calm. He stared at her silently, as if thirsty for her presence. As the woman began to dress, the ascetic quickly returned to sit under the tree, pretending he had been there all along. When she came back, she asked him the way out of the forest. But the ascetic repeatedly told her not to go and said, "Stay here for 2 or 3 days, I'll heal your foot completely with herbs." After his insistence, the woman agreed. Then the ascetic applied ointment to her foot and gently rubbed it, looking at her face attentively. The woman found all of this strange and pulled her foot away. Evening came again, and the ascetic and the young woman sat down to eat. The woman said, "Sadhuji, bring me some water, I'm thirsty." When the ascetic went to the pond to get water, some monkeys came and took away her food. The ascetic returned with the water, and the woman told him that she had already eaten. She drank the water and lay down on the grass. The ascetic saw that she'd fallen asleep. He sat beside her, quietly watching over her. He placed her head gently on his lap, making sure she was safe and comfortable. Her heartbeat was fast at first, then her breathing slowly became calm. The ascetic ensured her warmth and comfort, and the night was peaceful, with both feeling safe and quiet. In the morning, the ascetic and the young woman sat face to face in the forest. The ascetic tried to convince her and keep her distracted, but the woman understood his words and no longer wanted to fall into any trap. Suddenly, the woman rose quickly and ran deeper into the forest. The ascetic followed slowly, taking his time. The woman moved forward, shouting with a mixture of fear and courage, while the ascetic searched for her as he went along. After a long time of running and searching, the ascetic stopped the woman near a tree. He said, "Do not be afraid, I will do nothing to you, just stay safe and listen to me." The woman froze in fear, but seeing the ascetic's protective behavior, she felt some relief. She looked at him and said, "Okay, I will follow your words. Just let me stay safe." The ascetic smiled and said, "Tonight, under the full moon, everything will be safe." The moonlight glittered through the leaves of the tree, and far away in the forest, the bleating of sheep could be heard. The two of them spent the night under the tree. The woman pretended to sleep, though she was not sleepy. The ascetic sat beside her, caring for her safety and comfort. The night was silent, and a gentle breeze created a mysterious and peaceful atmosphere in the forest. Gradually, both the ascetic and the woman began to feel calm and safe in the forest night. In the morning, the ascetic placed the woman's head on his lap and carefully ran his fingers through her hair. He recited some mantras to ensure her safety and comfort. Through her silence, the woman showed trust and faith in the ascetic. When the woman moved inward, the ascetic showed her a stone on which something was written. As she touched the stone, a strange light appeared and some old scenes floated before her eyes. The woman became emotional and began to cry. The ascetic said, "Yes, it is me. I have been waiting for you since your last life." Now memories from her past life returned to the woman, and she approached the ascetic, crying emotionally. The ascetic explained, "After you left, I gave up the complexities of the world and came to meditate in the forest. One day, I had a dream where I saw that you would come to this forest. Your meditation would not fail, and you would find your old spiritual companion again." The ascetic lifted the woman and said, "In this life, our relationship is not that of husband and wife, but soul to soul." The woman looked into the ascetic's eyes and gradually calmed down. The moonlight shimmered through the leaves of the forest, and the two felt peace in each other's presence. The ascetic smiled and asked, "Have you ever truly loved someone? And do you believe in the memories of past lives?" The woman slowly nodded. In the forest night, the ascetic and the woman felt peace and serenity in each other's presence. That night became memorable and spiritually significant for both of them.